My name is Tamara, but you can call me Tammy. Morale is pretty shy, so she asked me to speak for her.
As if I didn't have enough work kicking butts of random foes in the image world.
Well, first, she'd like to thank all the people who watched her first video, liked, commented or asked questions. Without you, this project would have joined many others in the trash bin, and she wouldn't be improving it. Worse, she wouldn't carry on with her other projects and I wouldn't exist. Thank you. And now, let me remember you what this project is about. My creator, the almighty and wonderful Morale. That's a bit too much, isn't it? Needed a cheap way to animate her beautiful creation, aka me. So she decided to use a Kinect V2 sensor and make her own add-on for Blender. And before you ask, no, it doesn't work with the first Kinect, and it never will. If you want to know more about the first version, check her first video. Today, I am going to show version 1.4. You can find the link to the project in the description along with a direct link to the download page. This is the version that gave life to your servitor. What are you making me say? Me, a servitor? I am no one's servant. I am an independent badass butt kicker fighting for freedom. And I'm beautiful. Anyway, it comes with 2 new features and is officially compatible with Blender 2.80. The first new feature is a noise reduction filter. It makes everything smoother. Let me call Liam for a little demonstration. Here he comes. Hi Liam, how are you doing? We kind of had an affair, but it's a bit complicated, so he just ignores me. Here is a capture with the old version. See how he is shaking? And here on your right, is the same capture with the new version. Smooth. All those hours of boring work, manually smoothing the animations. It's all a bad memory now. Well, not totally, let's be honest, but still about 90% faster. It's all because of a thing called the Kalman filter. I don't really understand these complicated math things, but Morale does. And you can configure how much smoothing you want, isn't that great? You can go from very low smoothing, which will allow to better capture fast movement but lacks precision, to strong, which has a slow response but is very stable. We can now carry on with the second new feature, position tracking. With the older version of the add-on, the root bone of the armature didn't move, as you can see here. You had to manually move it after the capture. Now, you can choose to track the position on any of the 3 axes independently. Let me show you how it works. Okay, this is the Blender 2.80 interface. It is not very different from the 2.79 interface, but I will explain it later. You just have to know that the panel is now on the right of the viewport. This is where you tell the add-on which Kinect bone corresponds to the root of your armature. In this example, the root of the armature is the bone named spine, because it has no parent in the skeleton. Note that it has a parent named root bone, which is outside the actual skeleton, and is not supposed to move. This bone is used for root lock animations in game engines. The spine bone corresponds to the spine 0 bone for the Kinect armature, so we can now configure the position tracking bone. Here you can see 3 new options, each one locking the tracking on each axis. By default, all axes are locked. Let's try unlocking the height axis. As a result, the model is now moving up and down and the feet actually follow the floor. If we unlock the width, we can see the hips swaying. And with all the axes unlocked, the 3D model follows the actor's position. This works best if your model has human-size proportions, close to your actor size. You can configure the position tracking to fit the needs of your project. For instance, if you only lock the depth, you can easily make a walk cycle animation for a video game character. If you have a root bone like the root bone we talked about a minute ago, you can unlock all axes and make a root lock animation for a game engine. Thank you, Liam. We won't need your help anymore. Bye. And this is the last part, where I talk about the differences between Blender 2.79 and 2.80. The add-on works on both, but there are small differences. Here is Blender 2.79. As you can see, the add-on panel is on the left. Now, here comes 2.80, with its panel on the right. On 2.79, we have this little button to activate the recording process while capturing. It doesn't appear on 2.80. To explain why, let's take a closer look at the 2.79 version. If I click on the Start Tracking button, the capture starts, but I can do nothing, except right-clicking or pressing Escape to stop the process. I can check Record Captured Motion to record the animation, and that's all. Now, let's compare with the other version. The button is now named Start Stop. Indeed, if I start the capture, I can still interact with Blender, and click the button again to stop. Be careful with that. Don't try to modify the pose manually or edit the armature while the capture is active, or you may break everything. If you want to record, you just have to activate auto keying, set a decent animation length, and press play. This is the way Blender is supposed to work, and it allows you, for instance, to prepare a starting pose before starting to record. Apart from that, both versions are the same and implement all the features. And that's all there is to it. I hope you like me, because Morale is already asking me to come back and talk about setting up a decent capture space in your living room, about tips and tricks to prepare your Blender model for the best motion capture, and she also wants to make a video on installation and requirements. Are you serious, Morale? You know I have other things to do, don't you? Shouldn't you be working on my video game instead of making these videos? And the book about my adventures, and the role-playing game? They're not going to write themselves. Sorry guys, I lost my temper for a minute. As you may have heard, I am the star of a video game that might one day become a reality. There's also a book about me. However, it is written in French. The first part has already been published on the web. And she is also working on a paper RPG system revolving around the universe I live in. She just can't stick to one project. I bet even the music of this video was her creation. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Please, share or comment if you like. Tell us what you'd like to see. That was Tammy, from Morale's laptop. Bye bye. See you soon.